What you gonna do with that
Deserto.
do what dee da dee da dee da do what do da dee da do da dee da do what do da dee da
And
do
of
da
course,
dee
that
da
brings us to a very quick Deserto. That's right. You knew it was coming, Nelson. Do we have a sponsor for dessert this week, Nelson?
Yeah, we do, mate. It's Pilk ice cream. Pilk is plant-based ice cream. Very, very tasty. Pretty much tastes like ice cream, which is surprising. You know, you have all these strange, weird, wonderful, ice cream rip-offs out there. That's what they seem like. But Pilk, it actually tastes like ice cream. It is good quality stuff. So hopefully we'll get some more of that in our hands, Craigs. I don't know. Have you boys tasted it?
I have not tasted the pilk of yet, but
What did you think, Nubum?
Yeah, it's very good, mate. Very good. It actually tastes just as good as ice cream.
It does. Very surprising.
wowzers. Well, we seem this the Draft Rugby show seems to exclusively attract ice cream sponsors.
Mate, it's dessert. It's dessert. What else do you have for dessert?
Mate, I'm happy to get some main course and entree sponsors as well. You know what I mean? That's
Mate,
still
happily
waiting
have
for
some
still waiting for backline wines to come through, aren't we? Just any. We tried Penfolds.
Mate, they're all playing in America. They're all playing in America. So,
Well, all right. Anyway, look, let's move on. Nels, why don't you take us through it? This was your baby. The after 3 rounds of draft rugby, who has impressed? Who are the newcomers? Who are the day oneers? And who are fantasy managers, draft rugby fantasy managers, lining up to pick as free agents in their team or trade for? Take us through it, Nels.
Look, I mean, there's not too much in depth here. It's just looking at some numbers. But look, we've done the top standard players, the players that we expect to be doing well, and the top surprises. We jump into the standard players first. For Lau Fainga, he's only had one game, but he's off to a really solid start with a 70-point average. Cody Taylor, another hooker, 66-point average. Then we have Lee Warner, a guy that just came onto the scenes almost out of nowhere, out of thin air last year. We hadn't really heard much about him. He played some NRC, but he's off to a really solid start again this year. DMAC with a 55-point average, also matched by Nareki, despite his injury, still has a 55-point average. If you're over 50, guys, this is some big scores. Akira's on 54, backing up last year. Rico's on 48, and Seva Reese is on 45. After a really, really solid start in week one. These are the more interesting.
I was going to say some familiar names there, and definitely almost all of those players went in the first 2 rounds, I'd say, or so. Maybe not
pretty close. Maybe not Lee Warner, but pretty close.
Yep.
Then the surprises. The first one here, it's only off one match. We already touched on him a little bit, but Tim Anstey, he has just been in that one match, was just so dynamic, so exciting for the Force. I can't wait to see more of him. He is a role I think we haven't seen in Australian rugby for a very long time. That long, lanky back rower, that 6 that has ability to find himself in space. I'm very excited to see more of him with his 7s background. Feleti Kaitu'u, we talked about him a little bit earlier. He's got a 60-point average, which is massive. The issue with him is his line-out throwing. That 60 points, would have been a fair bit higher if he could throw the ball straight.
That's the issue, but the good thing about him is he's starting every game of this season, so it's safe as houses for a pick. Not necessarily safe as houses, but safe as houses that he's starting.
Yeah. Then Safa Mua is the 4th hooker we've mentioned. I think he's going to, trickle down from here. He had everything his own way early on in the season until he's got an injury at the moment, but 59-point average. If you see him starting, pick him up and make sure he's in your side because he is worth bulk points at every opportunity. Mac Hansen, his average is 44 points. The match before we actually started our drafting system, he was in 44. I think he got roughly 44 as well. So it looks about his average, 44 points. Very good from the young winger from the Brumbies. Richard Old Legs Kahui, the old man Kahui. How is he doing it, boys? He's got 44-point average. I think he offered very, very little last season, but somehow he's found his fitness, he's found his impact back in this game.
Mate, he does look like a young man. He's on the Red Bulls or something because he's they've set a firecracker up his ass. He gets on it and goes. I've never seen
I think
so much pace.
I think he must have just been underprepared last year because he was lining up to play AFL somewhere in Newcastle and got pulled into this squad. And now this year he's had, a professional preseason and he's showing he's still just absolute class. Another one here is someone that I mentioned a couple times in the preseason and Harry loved to poo-poo, but Dave Parecki got 43 points last week. Oh, sorry, that's his average. So that's including a game off the bench as well. So pretty solid. And Seru Uru's got a 32-point average, but the one match he started, he got 46 points, 0.7 points per minute. So if you basically just looking at, the locks that have had some decent minutes, he's actually sitting in fourth. Boys, how good would it be to see him in a Wallabies jersey?
Huge,
He's looking good.
Do you think is Angus Blythe at risk of getting usurped by Seru Uru?
Look, I don't see Seru Uru and Lukan Salakai Lotu being, a lock partner.
Combination. That's what I was going to say, Nels. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good word. That's the word I was thinking of. It's after midnight. But yeah, look, I don't think they're two guys you're going to have, starting and playing bulk minutes together. But Seru Uru is just a dynamic, exciting player off the bench. He's awesome when he starts as well. So, I mean, I just give him some minutes. I don't care what he's playing at.
He certainly had another few big runs on the weekend, another, 40, 50-metre trot down the field.
Here's the interesting thing. He was the Fijian under-20s captain in 2017. I think he actually played under-20s for Fiji 3 years in a row, or at the very least, he was in the squad for 3 years.
Wow.
But at this time, prior to 2017, a nation could say that their B team was their under-20s. No longer can they do that. They could do that up until 2017. But it sounds like at the time that he was playing, Fiji had never said that their second team was their under-20. So he may not be captured by Fiji. Mate, I'd love to see him in a Wallabies jersey. I think we'll see more of him if he does play for Fiji, but he's definitely got some, exciting years ahead of him.
I agree. Absolutely.
I also want the listeners to just draw their attention, especially when they're playing off our platform, to Lockie Anderson, the Rebels winger, who is listed as a back rower. Craggers?
Giving away all my secrets, mate. That's it. Tim Anstey that we've talked about, he's one of those ones you always want to find, which is if you can find yourself a lock who is playing back row, but who is also actually a back rower. So, and then Lockie Anderson, the sevens player, who could certainly probably well play back row, but he's definitely playing a winger. He's a great find, really. So you get as many outside backs in your team as possible. But very good. Well, gents, I think that's probably going to do it. We're going to wrap it up there. A big thank you to the super sub for his 11th cap. Newbum, mate, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, lads. Good to be back on.
Mate.
Bit rusty, boys. Bit rusty, but good.
And that's it. And look, if I beat you this week, we'll invite you back on next week. But if I don't, then that's it, mate. 11 caps is where you'll finish up.
Guess we're going to see you next week, new bum.
Dictatorship.
Absolutely, that's it. But no, very good shout, boys. And yeah, thank you for tuning in, listening, and we will catch you in the next one.
Hooroo.
Boys.